So I bought the magazine in May of 2022.
Okay.
I went to training in July of 2022 because I had to finish out the school year. And then when I was at training, they were like, okay, y'all are, this training class is probably going to launch your publications around Christmas, around the holidays. It takes approximately 90 to 120 days to do that. And I sat there and I went, I stopped getting a paycheck in August. So
How do we speed this up?
we're gonna need that to happen in September because you don't get paid until you launch, and then you really don't get paid a lot for a while.
Right.
But they basically looked at me like I was crazy, and they were like, nobody's ever done that. And I was like, hold my beer.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens here.
Welcome, friends, entrepreneurs, and visionaries, to Getting Neighborly, Fairview, Texas's very own gateway to opportunity. Proudly presented by the Fairview Economic Development Corporation. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, here to navigate the journey through the heart of our thriving community. In each episode, we unlock the doors of Fairview, offering you a first-hand look at the vibrant life and booming business landscape that define our community. We're not just neighbors here, we're collaborators, innovators, and friends, building dreams and turning visions into reality. From insightful stories of local success to exploring the advantages that make Fairview an ideal community for your business. This podcast is your inside track to discovering why Fairview isn't just a place to do business. It's a place to grow, to belong, and to call home. So whether you're looking to start up, scale up, or simply soak up the spirit of community that champions entrepreneurial success, you found the right spot. Welcome to Getting Neighborly in Fairview, Texas. Let's make your business dream a community success story.
Hey, welcome to Getting Neighborly in Fairview, Texas, the official community podcast of the town of Fairview, hosted by the Fairview Economic Development Corporation. On every episode, we spend time getting to know our neighbors and hearing stories that make our town a community. This is Getting Neighborly in Fairview, Texas. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn. I'm very excited to be able to sit down with Miss Angi Burns. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm very super excited to be here.
I love it. So before, I'm going to give everybody a little introduction to Angi. Angi is, for Fairview, she's connected because she was the MC for the We Inspire TX Women's Entrepreneur Summit that we do in November. Phenomenal feedback. The energy that you brought to the room, kid you not, everybody was like, that was fun. Like, you just brought an energy to the room that was really good. Yes, you did a great job for that. And so since we're doing the We Inspire event again in November, we wanted to continue this sort of series on women entrepreneurs, and we want people to know who's going to be there. You're going to be there again. Thank you for that, being our MC.
Thank you for allowing me to come back.
And I also want people to know that you're not just an MC. You actually are a woman entrepreneur. You own Allen City Lifestyle and Plano as well. Yes. And the Allen City Lifestyle, for our Fairview residents, it also covers Fairview.
It does.
It can't be Allen Fairview City Lifestyle. It's
I know. We cover Allen, Fairview, Lucas, and Parker, and that's a very long name if I tried to put them all on the cover. So They made me pick one.
Yeah, that's fine. We get it. We're used to that. We'll carve out our little space in that. But so listen, Angi, I want people to know who you are. Tell us a little bit about your story. How did you come to own Allen City Lifestyle, and why are you doing it? What are you doing in our neck of the woods? How did you get here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually was an educator for nearly 20 years. So
Okay.
I come from a arts and education background. This was never on my radar of anything I ever wanted to do. I taught speech, theater, and debate. Hence the MC part.
Yeah, yes.
So I did that for about 15 years, and I founded a performing arts conservatory school in McKinney in 2018.
Okay.
And so Ovation Academy of Performing Arts was the school that I founded and I ran, and it was a nonprofit hybrid homeschool program.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it was designed for students who were college and career bound in music, dance, and theater.
Nice.
Who didn't quite fit the mold of public education.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes when these kids are aspiring to be professional performers, their attendance, if they're working professionally at their young age, can fluctuate.
Yeah,
so
it makes it difficult.
It makes it difficult to be a full-time public school student. So my daughters at the time were 10th grade and 8th grade when I founded Ovation.
Oh, wow.
And my younger daughter was filming a television pilot, and she was training on Broadway with Broadway Artist Alliance.
Oh, wow.
3-4 times a year. She would go to New York for a couple weeks and then come home. So it started getting, even though she was a great student, she didn't have any discipline issues. She was getting truancy. She was
we've
struggling.
Done a couple of those moments.
Yeah, struggling with the boundaries of being a public school student, traditional education.
Yeah.
So the fact that I was a teacher and I had my master's in education administration, I was seeing all of the the reasons that public school is great for certain students, but how it's not the best fit for all students.
I see that. Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of at a crossroads where it was like, do I go into administration in public school and become a principal? Or do I take my experience, my knowledge of the arts? I've been in the arts since I was 4. I was a theater major. I'm a classically trained actress. Originally, my plan was to be a performer, and then my daughter happened and changed my trajectory a little bit.
Funny how that works.
I know, right? My priorities shifted, and so I became a theater teacher. And so, but I stayed in the realm.
Okay.
So I actually did stand-up comedy for 10 years.
Nice.
I've done television, I've done radio, I've done a lot of different things. And so somebody who has the background in performing, who had also had the background in teaching the arts, I saw a lot of the struggles that these young artists who really wanted to take it seriously were having. So if you wanted to be a doctor or a nurse, they give you half a day to go do rounds at the hospital.
Right.
If you want to be a professional actor or singer or dancer, they don't give you an opportunity really to do that and train at the level you need to train. So I founded the school, ran it for approximately 5 years. My daughters both ended up graduating from there, going off to college, doing all of the amazing things. Well, while I had the school, I advertised with my sister publication in the McKinney area.
Okay.
So McKinney and Prosper Lifestyle, which is owned by Sharon. She and I became really close friends, and I advertised with her, and then I started writing for her. So just in my free time, because I had so much of it running a school and a nonprofit and all of the things, I also sat on the board of 6 different nonprofits at the time.
Okay.
So I started writing a Nonprofit of the Month editorial for her. And so I wrote that for about a year. I was a partner of hers for about 3.5 years. And we were at lunch one day, and my middle daughter, Averly, was about to go off to college, and I knew she was going to go somewhere on the East Coast. And I knew I needed more flexibility and financial security, because I don't know if you've heard, but education isn't the most lucrative career.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But so I knew I needed to do something, because I was going to have 2 girls in college. One was going to be 20 hours away across the country from me. So I needed to be able to up and leave if I needed to. And so we were sitting there, and I was just tossing out ideas, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a master's in education. My undergrads are theater and broadcasting. I was like, I've never done anything other than the arts and education. What do I do with my life? And she looked at me and she goes, have you ever thought about being a publisher? And I was like, I don't even know what that means. Like what you do? And she was like, yeah. She goes, I'm really looking at either buying the Allen territory or the Frisco territory of the City Lifestyle publication, because she only had McKinney and Prosper at that time. And she was explaining to me how it was a franchise and how I would be a business owner and all these things. And I was just like, okay, this is a lot of information to take in. Luckily, a really close friend of mine is a franchise consultant. So I went to him and I was like, Rudy, help me. I was like, what is this? Is this legit? Does it work? Is this going to be a good step in good direction for me? And he basically looked over the franchise disclosures and everything. And he looked at me and he goes, this is a perfect fit for you. He goes, you love people. You love throwing parties. You love connecting people. I was already through Leadership Allen, Leadership McKinney.
Okay.
I'd gone through Leadership McKinney. I was already in the chamber of Allen, Plano, Frisco, and McKinney.
Yeah, make sure you covered all your bases.
I was already doing all of the things, and he was like, you're already connected so well. This is a great way for you to utilize the relationships that you've built over the years and help people grow their businesses, help learn about what's going on in the community. And the biggest thing for me was it's all positive. So when you've been in education for so long, it can be a very hostile environment.
Yes.
You're wrong to someone at all times. So
Right.
whether it's the
You're trying to
parents,
stay on the majority
students,
side,
the
is what you're-
administration, like you're never going to make everybody happy. It's very high stress. It's very overworked, underappreciated profession. So bless you, teachers, anybody who's
Amen.
still sticking it out, because I wasn't strong enough. But the more I looked at it, I was like, wait, so the only thing I have to do is tell good things? I get to celebrate the wins of everybody. I get to help positive, supportive,
It's the feel good.
inclusive. Yeah, it's the feel good. I don't have to do like hard hitting news, which I love doing. I was a debate coach. We did a lot of hard hitting stuff.
Right.
But I was like, this is such a shift that I was all in. I was like, okay, let's do this. This sounds super exciting. And being a client, I already knew the general idea. I knew it worked for me. I knew that whenever my editorial ran, we literally had people walk in the door with the magazine in their hand and said, I read about your philosophy on education. How does my kid go to school here? We had people show up to our events and I'm like, you don't have a student here. Who are you? Why are you here? And they were like, well, we know this is a school for professional level kids. And we saw the event in the event calendar of City Lifestyle. So we thought we'd check it out. So I knew it worked. So I've never been in sales.
So you can believe in the product.
Right. Yeah. I've never been in sales. So that was my biggest fear. I was like, wait, I have to like sell advertising. And they were like, you kind of have to do that. I mean, you have to have the marketing advertising sponsors in order to put out the content.
Right.
So I decided that I was going to use my strengths and as an event planner and a speaker and those type of things to add some value to these partnerships so that I didn't feel like I was selling advertising.
Right.
So what I decided to do was I do monthly networking events. we do throw block parties for the different neighborhoods. We do things to get us involved in the neighborhood.
Sure.
To get us out and about so I can meet the people. What do you want to read about?
Right.
What do you want to hear? What stories do you want to see? Give me your nominations for Student of the Month, First Responder of the Month, Nonprofit of the Month. Tell me what you want to hear. And the more we can get face-to-face with those people, the better product we have.
Right.
So I bought the magazine in May of 2022.
Okay.
I went to training in July of 2022 because I had to finish out the school year. And then when I was at training, they were like, okay, this training class is probably going to launch your publications around Christmas, around the holidays. It takes approximately 90 to 120 days to do that. And I sat there and I went, I stopped getting a paycheck in August. So
how do we speed this up?
We're gonna need that to happen in September because you don't get paid until you launch, and then you really don't get paid a lot for a while.
Right.
But they basically looked at me like I was crazy, and they were like, "Nobody's ever done that." And I was like, "Hold my beer. Let's see what happens here." So I came home. And utilizing the connections that I had already made with all the people, I basically just walked into the chamber and I said, okay, guys, y'all know me as the nonprofit person, the one that runs the school, but here's my new adventure.
Yeah.
Who wants to come on board with me? And I launched in 21 days.
That is amazing.
I still hold the record for the fastest
That's
launch.
Amazing. Like 3 weeks.
Yeah. It was crazy.
No, you're talking about the McKinney chamber. You walked in and
I walked in the Allen chamber because I was already a member of the Allen chamber.
Okay.
So I walked
That's
in.
awesome then.
So the reason I selected, when Sharon brought me the opportunity, she said, I'm trying to decide between Allen and Frisco. And I said, I have more personal connections already with business owners and community members that live in Allen.
Right.
At the time I lived in McKinney, but she already owned McKinney, so that wasn't an option for
Right.
me. And so I said, I would prefer Allen for several reasons. I know that the Allen image was no longer producing, so I knew there was a void in the fact that the residents weren't getting anything substantial
that they were used to getting.
That they missed. There really was, as soon as I said, I'm going to do a high-end luxury publication, something of this caliber had never been done in this area, and all that existed were small neighborhood publications.
Right.
And I was like, this is going to be for the entire city, inclusive of Fairview, Lucas, and Parker. So we want to go bigger.
Right.
And as soon as I said that, people were just jumped on board. And everybody always asked me, like, I was a speaker at the national conference like the month I launched. And I was like, I just started this. I don't know what I'm doing. But they asked me to be a panelist because I launched so quickly. And everybody always asked me, how do you do it? And I was like, I knew a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's really it.
You already had the connections through the
had the
chamber to have the
yeah.
people that would support you.
Yeah. The Allen Fairview Chamber has been so supportive. And I always say, Allen loves Allen.
Oh, we do. They do.
Allen loves supporting Allen. Fairview, Lovejoy ISD. Like I said, this community is so supportive of small business and so supportive of the community that it really just made sense.
Yeah.
And
they knew who you were already.
Yeah.
They knew where you were coming from.
They knew they could trust me. They knew that I wasn't just, I'm always about quality versus quantity.
Right.
I won't sign anybody I don't personally know.
Right.
we have people call all the time, how do I put an ad in your magazine? I'm like, you go to lunch with me. And if I like you and I trust you.
You've got credibility on the line.
Absolutely. If I'm going to put my name behind your business, I'm going to make sure you're 4 to 5 star business, that you don't have any negative Better Business Bureau, that you're not going to take advantage of the readers who are trusting me with my recommendations. So I take them to lunch. I meet them. My team researches their business, and we make sure that they're going to be the best referral for that industry, and we're industry select.
That way, the residents that are getting your magazine absolutely know and trust that if it's in there, it's not just somebody who ponied up and paid something. This is there's a good business behind this ad.
And we're very selective. Like, I won't ever have more than 3 within the same industry. So I pick the best 3.
Okay.
So I'm not like one of the other, solicitation platforms that will just have 15 different
It's just a directory
dentists.
of different dentists.
It's a resource guide, basically. It's like, hey, I paid money to be on this list with 500 other dentists. That's not what I do. I make sure that I hand select the best that we have available to us in our area.
Awesome.
And so it's really been, my husband says that I now get paid to go to happy hour. Like, that's
I could see that,
because I like it so much and I enjoy it so much. He's like, do you actually work? And I'm like, I have to do the whole editorial side too.
There's a back end side to this,
that goes
right?
To that. But I love it because I love people. And so it's really easy for me to just say, hey, I'm going to do a networking event. I go to 2-3 networking events a day. And that's all I do, is just build relationships and then say, you have an awesome story. I'd love to help you tell it.
Oh, that's awesome. So talk about, that's a big jump. You already had the school, but this is shifting gears. You're sort of out of, not forced into it, but a necessity. Yep. You needed to do it. What's that like? If you're sitting, for our audience that's kind of sitting there going, well, maybe I want to do this, maybe I don't. And you don't know. How did you do that? It
was very scary because it was taking a risk. But at the same time, I had taken an even bigger risk when I quit working in public school with a job and benefits and secure paycheck, and literally came home on spring break one year in 2018, March of 2018, came home, told my husband, by the way, I resigned today and I'm going to open my own school. And he went, you what? And 5 months later in August, we opened. So I'd taken bigger risks.
Okay.
They didn't pan out so great for us financially.
Well, they bridged a gap.
But it did. It was honestly, what I learned from the experience of that was so much. But one of the biggest things that I learned was sometimes you have to separate your passions from your profession. And I actually am speaking at the Women of Purpose conference on Thursday.
Oh, nice.
On this topic about how sometimes you just have to find balance. If you put 100% of what you're passionate about and that becomes your job, everybody says, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. But if what you love the most, which for me is the arts, like I've been in theater my entire life, like it's literally in my blood. When I made that my sole source of income, my sole every day, all day, I started to become resentful, and I started to not love what I was passionate about anymore. And it wasn't fun anymore. I didn't enjoy it. It took the enjoyment out of it. So what I found with this is I love what I do, but it's not.
It's different.
It's different because it's a job, but I enjoy it. I love it. I'm proud of it. I'm passionate about it, but it's not taking away anything from what my hobbies are, or
you still get to go enjoy the other things.
Those things. And so now I get to support nonprofit organizations. I get to support arts organizations. I still
it's a different role you're playing.
And it's less stress because there's not so much tied to it.
Right.
So I get to enjoy it, which I stopped doing for a while.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really great.
That's a great lesson.
To find that balance and say, maybe putting all my eggs in one basket wasn't the best idea.
Right. When you're still able to use the skill set and the tools that you have. You're entertaining, you're telling jokes, you're being that personable person, a good host. But again, it's not the grind of doing theater every day.
So I have a fantastic team that I work with. I have a publication director and an assistant and writers. And I always tell them, I say, nobody's life is on the line with what we do. And it's awesome.
Yeah.
Because yes, we're going to get disgruntled people every now and then. Not
Sure.
everybody's going to be happy. Life happens. It's still a business, right?
Right.
But nobody's dying. Nobody's not going to college because they failed your class. Nobody's
Right.
going, like, it's not the end of the world. I don't have Mama Bear coming out and, I was like, if you mess up, own it,
Right.
fix it, make it right, but it's not the end of the world.
Right.
So when I see my team start to stress out about something, I'm just like, yo, calm down. Like,
Yeah.
nobody's dying. It's okay. Like, we're not surgeons. We're not like,
Yeah. Nobody's like, yeah.
this is all supposed to be positive. And if it's not positive and if you're not enjoying it, be done.
Yeah.
Like, we're not doing something right. We're going to fix it. And just having that kind of, it's not that serious.
That allows you
That we're
it's
okay,
such
yeah.
a different culture to have and operate in, right?
Oh,
and
yeah,
that
for
is
sure.
that's kind of hard to find nowadays. It can be very difficult to work in situations where it's not that, and you're sort of
Yeah.
grind. It is a daily grind because you're having to go and do this, and you do feel like it's all on the line. So I can see where that's a really good
and-
perspective to have for your team.
It's kind of one of those things, like whenever you become a parent, you're like, I want to do all of the things right that my parents did wrong. It's kind of the same thing whenever you become an entrepreneur, that you're like, okay, every boss that I had that was terrible, I want to make sure I don't do those things.
Well, right.
I want to be the boss that everybody liked, but it's hard because then you get that fine line of, is this my friend or is this my employees? And there's a lot that you have to kind of navigate there.
Right.
That business side of things is newer territory to me.
Right.
And,
You're
my
making business decisions, right? It's not just,
Right.
"Oh, I love you, but this is
Yeah.
business and
Yeah, and that's hard. That's the trickier side of things for me, because I like everybody just to be happy and have fun. And then sometimes I'm like, oh, but now I have to correct you on something. How do I do that tactfully,
yeah.
respectfully? Make sure you don't hate me afterwards. Here's a
Can we still be friends?
Here's a cupcake. You messed up. I try to figure out and navigate that side of things as well. But I think that's something that's kind of newer to me, is that I'm creating the culture
Right.
that was kind of created for me previously.
Nice. So talk to us a little bit about the community and the events, because one of the things you mentioned was, you're not just telling stories. You actually want to engage and tell the stories that the community wants to hear, and you want the community to be sort of your eyes and ears for things that need to be told, right? Because you can't be everywhere. You can't know everything. You want people helping you find those stories to tell. So what do you mean by that, and how do people do that?
So we have a couple of different options there. So we do want to be the magazine of the community. So we are a luxury publication. So we always guarantee high quality writing, high quality photography. Everything's going to be beautiful. It's going to be well written. And we want to make sure that the people who are featured in the publication have a lasting, tangible celebration of their accomplishments.
Sure.
So we do a first responder of the month.
Okay.
So sometimes we find those from people nominating. Sometimes we find those because I ran into somebody who says, hey, do you know this person? Or they tell a story about somebody who's done something. I utilize the mom pages a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The Facebook pages, all of social media, and I just solicit, nominate your student of the month, nominate your first responder of the month. If you know of a local nonprofit, let us know.
And they do that through your website?
They can do it through the website. There's a little contact me button, or they can email me. So my email's in the magazine.
Okay.
When we're out at events, we also have a QR code that people can
Nice.
scan to take them straight to a nomination form. So it honestly, just get a hold of us. Like
Okay.
if you just do Allen City Lifestyle, I'm pretty sure my cell phone is the number that's listed. So
that's funny.
they can
Okay.
text, they can call, email, whatever. As long as we just get the information, I'll get it to the right person to make the story happen if it fits.
Right.
So the
Okay.
biggest thing with us is each month has a different theme. So we try to fit like our nonprofit of the month with the theme of the month. So
Okay.
for instance,
Makes
when we
sense.
had our kids and pets issue, we did a children's nonprofit and a pets nonprofit.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And we did 2 nonprofits of the month. When we do our ladies issue, we're going to do either domestic violence or breast cancer survivor. We'll do something that matches
Yes.
the theme of the month.
Okay.
So sometimes people will send us nominations and then we're like, yes, that's great, but we're going to wait until our style issue, because like the People's Impact Network was one we did last September, and they take in donations of saris for women in the community who may not have the accessibility to go buy new saris. But our community has so many women in that culture that want beautiful saris to wear. People's Impact Network is an organization that donates used saris to women in the community.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we put them in our style issue. And so we try to match the nonprofit with the theme. And same thing with our first responders or our students. If we can make it match, then we do.
Okay.
Same thing with the stories that we do. So, for instance, we just had the new rec center in Allen open.
Beautiful new rec
Yes,
center.
we have a whole 4-page editorial in our March issue about it. Our March issue is our home issue. So we said, your home away from home is now this new beautiful center. So we try to make sure that it reads like a book instead of a bunch of random hodgepodge of trying to sell you something. And we want only 1/3 of the entire magazine can even be about our advertising partners.
Oh, wow.
So most of it is community content.
Yeah, that's really good content to add ratio there.
Yes. So we want as much of it to be about the awesome things happening in the community. So we just got somebody sent us information about a lady who just celebrated her 100th birthday. I just got a message today about one of the heads of the Allen Special Olympics delegation just got Teacher of the Year on her campus. Wow. And so these different programs that we're starting to build these relationships with, they'll keep in communication with us and be like, hey, we had this huge win. How can we celebrate that for you? So we have our website, we have our social media, we have our own podcast with Allen City Lifestyle Podcast. So we want to get out as much positive information about what's going on in the community as possible. So just send us what you got. And we'll figure out if we can make it fit.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, so what are some of the tips for women? And we're talking about women entrepreneurs. You've obviously learned a lot of lessons. What are some of the basic, just the business side of it, right? So you're passionate. The product sometimes is not the problem, right? A lot of times I love the product. That's not a problem. The challenges I see is sometimes with the business side. What are some lessons that maybe you've learned that would help, someone who is sort of teetering on side hustle full-time, that they really need to make sure they're aware of? Was there anything that you're like, man, I wish I would have thought through that a little more? I mean, you're a little different because you already had done it once. You were learning from.
Well, I made a lot of mistakes the first time.
Yeah. So what are some of those tips that somebody
keeping your priorities in line? That was a big one for me. So when I was running the school, I put the school and my students before my own children and family. And it honestly led to my husband and I separating.
Oh, wow.
We separated for almost 2 years and we lived separately and everything. And it finally got to the point where I was like, what am I doing? Like, why am I sacrificing my happiness and my well-being and my family for someone else's? And I'm an empath. I'm one of those people that I want to help everyone. I want to do everything, but I can't. Can't save the world.
Sure.
Can't do it all. I'm not Superwoman. And when I tried to wear all the hats and do all of the things, I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't mentally or physically healthy. And my relationships personally were deteriorating. And it was because I didn't prioritize myself and my family first. And I kept saying, they'll still be there. I'll get to it.
Yeah.
And then they weren't. And my kids grew up. And, my daughters are 22 and 20 now. And, my son's still 9, so I got him for a while. But I was like, I just missed so many momentous occasions. And they even went to my school. And they still were like,
hey, we're over here.
Yeah, I see you literally every single day, but not in a mom capacity.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to put those boundaries into place of, this is when I'm your principal and this is when I'm your mom. And so I had to learn a lot about balance, of the work-life balance. That was the biggest lesson that I learned. And thankfully, my husband is an amazing human and he allowed me to make those mistakes and we worked through them. And not to say that he didn't make his own mistakes and have his own flaws. It wasn't all me, but we were able to work through that and move forward. Luckily, I had the opportunity to do that, and not everybody does. So make sure you're not sacrificing yourself for
Really understanding
business.
what success and what defining that for you.
Exactly. Like I thought success was tied, to a dollar amount, or I thought it was tied to awards, or I thought it was tied to recognition of some sort. And to an extent, sure.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel much more successful knowing that, I can go on vacation with my family and make memories and do things that I couldn't do before because I couldn't take a day off.
Yeah, I just had that happen, I think a week ago. On a Friday afternoon, my daughter wanted to go run errands. They were off. Well, I was working from home, and she asked me to go, and that never happened. She's a senior in high school, and she wants me to run an errand with her.
Like, you want me to pay for that, don't you?
Well, and it wasn't even that. Like, she just wanted me to go. She had some stuff to return. She just didn't want to go by herself, and her mom was gone, who normally goes with her. And I was invited, and I was like, cancel the rest of my afternoon.
Yeah.
And as an entrepreneur, I got to say that, and I got to go hang out a weekend with her. What a great, I think that is a great lesson.
Yeah. And that's been the biggest thing for me is I really love being an entrepreneur because I say, number one, I get control over my schedule. I get to decide how much I work, when I work, and where my priorities lie. And secondly, I get to choose who I work with. When you're in education, you don't get to choose which kids are in your class or who their parents are or who your principal is, or you don't get to choose any of that. You just have to learn how to manage it.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, I don't have to take you on as a client if you're going to be a jerk. Like if I sit down at that lunch with you and you're giving me bad vibes and you're being, misogynistic, or you're being, which happens a lot as a woman entrepreneur, I don't have to sign you. I can choose to say, we're not a good fit. Have a great time. Let me refer you to someone else.
That is a great feeling as an entrepreneur. I know when I first started, that was the goal was to be able to say no.
Yeah.
And people thought that was weird. I'm like, no, it's awesome when you can say,
amazing.
I'm not so desperate that I have to do something that is against my values, or I hate doing it, or I don't like, life's too short to put up with people who are like that.
Yep.
And so when you get to the point where you can say, nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
That is a special day.
Yeah. And it was hard at first too, because like I said, I launched in rocket speed. So I was just like, everybody who wants in, yay.
Yeah. Everybody in the boat.
Me. Right. And then I learned very quickly, I was like, we are not the right fit for everyone. And everyone is not the right fit for us. So I had some tough conversations where I had to say, maybe this isn't going to work out, and vice versa, And so, but like you said, when you get to that point where you're like, no, I'm good. like,
yeah, it's a pretty special day.
Like
even if it does hurt financially, you're
Yeah.
like, I'm going to take a hit, but I'm okay with that.
But it's not worth it. It's not worth the headache that you're going to get by accepting everyone. Like, it's that whole quality versus quantity. Like, if you have everyone, the ones that are honestly I don't like to say like smaller clients, but the ones that are so nitpicky on every little thing, and like they're going to take up more of your time and give you less of your profit than if you focus on we call them sweet clients. Like our sweet level clients that are good business people. They
understand the value that you bring in.
They understand the value. They understand business, and they don't have to like twist and turn everything and manipulate it because they're actually struggling.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice to kind of be able to see what those red flags are and be like, oh, you may not be where you need to be yet to have this conversation with me.
So talk a little bit about, we talk about the freedom. That's the fun side of entrepreneurism, and we talk about that. But at the same time, you mentioned it earlier, you gave up insurance and stability, and so freedom also means not tied to anything and free fall, right? Like there's that option too. So how did you balance that?
Surround myself with people smarter than me. I have an amazing bookkeeper. I have an amazing CPA who does my taxes. I have an awesome insurance agent. Knowing that because I network so much, I see 500 insurance agents a week. I was able to pick the one that was the best fit for me, who I could tell was knowledgeable. I could tell like they were going to take care of me. Same thing with the bookkeeper, same thing. But I didn't have any of that at first. And I was just like...
It can be daunting,
yeah,
right? If you don't realize it.
You don't know what you don't know until you don't know it and need to know it.
Yes.
So it's one of those things where like as an entrepreneur, you have to pay a franchise tax, right? I didn't know that existed. I didn't know what that was. I wasn't an entrepreneur before. I ran a nonprofit. It was a very different world. And so I get this letter in the mail saying that I owe all this money because I didn't pay my franchise tax. And I'm like, I don't even know what this means. So I literally, at this point, I just take everything to my CPA and I'm like, tell me what to do. Do I pay this? Do I not pay this? Who do I call? What do I do? And I just turn everything over to them and I trust them.
Yeah.
And having people in your corner that you can trust and that you know are going to steer you in the right direction.
Yeah. Building a good team.
So much off of your plate because I'm a lifelong learner. Like, I mean, I have a master's in education. I taught, for almost 20 years. I like learning. And so being an entrepreneur gives me the opportunity. Like I went through Leadership McKinney. I'm in Leadership Plano. I will do Leadership Allen Fairview.
Nice.
I haven't done it yet, but we have a great article in our April issue about Leadership Allen Fairview. So
and we do a great day for that leadership class every year.
I was looking through the pictures literally last night of the Fairview Day. But I put myself in those programs to learn as much as I can learn because yes, there are degrees in business and entrepreneurship, but you're not going to learn it until you actually throw yourself into it and do it.
Yeah, there's some stuff you just have to do it.
Just have to do it and figure it out as you go. And once you figure it out, put a process and procedure in place so that it's replicable. And that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Nice.
Is I hired a business coach and it was a very big price tag and scary thing. And I was like, why do I need to pay this much just for somebody to like tell me what I'm doing wrong and then I'm like, oh my gosh, best decision I ever made. Because
that's amazing.
Talk through what's going on up here with someone who has been there, done that,
and is detached emotionally from it, right?
And that's my biggest thing. Is that's the thing she always has to tell me. She's always like, "Are you doing this with your head or your heart right now?"
Oh, that's a good one.
And I'm like, probably my heart. And she's like, "Okay, let's put your business head on."
Oh man, sounds like a good coach.
Yeah, because she's like, you can't pay somebody who didn't actually work just because you feel bad. And I'm like, oh. Yeah, but can I like gift them something? And she's like, stop. So, I mean, there's definitely things that I've had to learn, and being coachable and knowing that I don't know what I'm doing and being willing to admit that is a huge part of it. As an entrepreneur, you have to put your ego aside. You cannot go into it and be like, I got this.
No, you can. It'll humble you in a heartbeat.
Successful. Yeah, it's a very humbling experience.
Yes.
Like I took off. Like literally launched in 21 days, was a speaker at conference within my first couple of months. Like people call me all the time and they ask me and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I'm building this as we're flying.
I was like, I have no idea. I was like, how did you do this? How did you do this? I was like, trial and error. I don't know. Like I did some things. It didn't work. I overpromised and under-delivered until I figured out what I could deliver. Like I made mistakes and I'm going to make more mistakes, but I think the biggest thing is owning it when you make a mistake and knowing that, that's not something in my wheelhouse. Like I should not be in charge of that.
So I think it's an incredible thing. And that's also freeing when you realize you don't have to know everything. There are people who love to do numbers. I don't understand them. God bless them. They love Excel spreadsheets and taxes and making numbers line up.
That's not me.
I don't know what that is. and again, when the day you hand that off, it is the most amazing day, right? And you realize, yes, there isn't a cost associated with that, but the value of what the frustration and the fear and my wife now feels she's less scared today, me having somebody on board that does that, than when I was doing it, because she knows me and she's like terrified every day, right? So that
you're
is
gonna mess it up.
That's a good tip too. Having good team members. Well, very good. So, all right. So, looking ahead now, we're coming up mid-year. Do you have any big things on the horizon? You have the Allen and the Plano side. What are some of the big wins that you've had?
We've had a lot of big wins. So I just got back from President's Club. So we went to Cancun for a week. So that was fun. I am actually the first publisher within my company. So there's over 200 magazines nationwide. We're a nationwide brand.
Okay. I'm
the first one to ever have 2 publications launch within their first year. And to make President's Club within their first, I think I made it in 6 months or something like that. Which it takes 4 to even make it. So I made it in 6, which is kind of ridiculous. But it's because of the support of this community. It's because everybody in this community is just amazing and wonderful. So big wins is I picked the right territory. Plano has actually been a lot slower. I launched it in 56 days, so still not too shabby.
Yeah,
but I also grew up in Plano, so
Right.
I've lived there my entire life pretty much. And my parents still live in the same house that I grew up in.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's slower because it's more corporate. So it's not as easy to build those relationships.
Sure.
In a bigger city like that.
Right.
So I'm proud of myself because I picked the right place to start.
Nice.
With people who understand that you're going to make mistakes and you're not going to be perfect. And so I've picked the right clients,
Right.
which I think
They've
is a
been
huge win.
patient with you
They've
as
been
you've
very
sort of
patient as
sorted
I've
it out.
learned this business. And that's one of the things I've had to say. I say, I will become an expert. And now at this point, I feel like I am a marketing expert. I'm not a digital marketing expert. I'm not a
Right.
social media expert. But when it comes to strategy and diversifying your portfolio with marketing, just like you do with investments,
Sure.
I can tell you the ups, down, inside, outside,
Nice.
this data. I can do that because I've taught myself and I've continued to learn. Biggest wins are, in September of each year, we do kind of a gala, like a black tie award
nice.
ceremony.
Okay. For like all your advertisers?
For our advertisers and for the people we've celebrated in the community. So,
sweet.
like our students of the month, first responders of the month, we celebrate all of the things we've been able to do because of the support of our advertisers. So, donating to different nonprofits or putting on different events that we've been able to do, helping co-sponsor different things. We can't do any of that without the support of our advertising sponsors. So it's a thank you. It's a client appreciation type thing. So we do a ladies luncheon in March where we get all of our partners together, celebrate then, and then we do a gentleman's guide. Gentleman's guide's always super fun. You should have had an invite to that, by the way. But for Allen, we go to the Allen Americans game. We get the suite. It's all, all of our partners and the city leaders of Allen and Fairview come out, and we just celebrate the fact that we have awesome people, and we get to introduce them to each other so that they can form great synergy relationships as well. So that's always super fun. And then we have the big one in September. But the thing that we learned last year was block parties are so awesome. And they work really well, not only for bringing our clients new leads, but they're just a great way to meet the people and figure out, what do you want?
Yeah.
Get feedback, right? So May through October, we do neighborhood block parties where we partner with different neighborhoods. We partner with the HOAs.
Like the HOA, okay.
And we bring out a bounce house and a food truck and a DJ, and we can't sell anything. We tell our partners, you are not selling anything, but you're here to meet people and find out what their needs are. Find out how you can help them. Let them know you're here, that you exist, that you have this business locally. Let them see your face because they've seen your ad. They know the brand. They have the brand awareness. But I'll be honest, 9 times out of 10, nobody's going to buy something. Oh, I'm sitting on my couch reading the magazine. I need to buy a roof right now. Let me call this number. But if you come out and they meet you and they like you, and I know they're going to because I've already done my due diligence and interviewed you,
Right.
then you have a higher percentage of being able to close that deal and actually get a customer and build a relationship.
Right.
So they are so fun. My son, who's 9, he's like, when's the next block party? I want to go, to make new friends.
He's
and play
making
with
block
people.
parties all over the place.
Oh, yeah. He's going, every other weekend in the summer. So those were a huge hit. So that was a big win that we learned how to do things that add the most value to our clients that are a lot of fun and enjoyable for the residents, the clients, and my team.
Well, Angie, it sounds like just a phenomenal story. And I'm really lucky. I think we're really lucky to have you in our community. It sounds like the passion that you bring to Plano and to Allen and Fairview and the community, and really wanting to be helpful and share that positive story. That's what we strive for in Getting Neighborly, is to let people know there are really cool people in our community.
There are awesome people in this community, and I don't have enough pages to tell all the stories. So we literally plan a year at a glance because there are so many amazing stories.
That's
so
amazing.
Send us what you've got.
All right. Well, Angie, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a little bit longer show. That's awesome. That means there was a lot to say.
Talk a lot.
Yes. Well, that's good. There's a good story to that. Looking forward to seeing you again in November for We Inspire. We are looking for sponsors for that, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast and you want to support women entrepreneurship, we would love to have you join us. The Allen Chamber handles that for us. Fairview is a sponsor of that, and we love to shout out for Acacia's event venue is where we host it.
Acacia.
She amazing?
Yes, she's
right?
absolutely phenomenal.
It's not, I always tell people when you rent at Acacia's, it's not it's just not a room you're renting. You're getting her.
Yeah.
And she's what makes it magical.
Yep.
Like, truly, people don't understand
100%.
that. So shout out to Acacia. Thank you for hosting that. But we're absolutely excited to have you back. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Getting Neighborly here in Fairview, Texas. I'm your host, Super Dave Quinn, asking you to like, share, subscribe to our channel. Share the good news stories found here and help our guests continue to make a difference. And until next time.
And that's a
thanks.
wrap
Make it
on
a great
another
day.
episode of Getting Neighborly from the heart of Fairview, Texas. This is your host, Super Dave Quinn, and I can't thank you enough for lending us your ears and hearts today. If our story stirred something in you, hit the subscribe button. More tales of innovation, spirit, and community await, showcasing why Fairview isn't just a place on the map, but a destination of dreams. Before you go, take a moment to share your love with a 5-star rating and review, because your support means the world to us and helps us spread the neighborly spirit far and wide, inviting others to join our close-knit community. Are you considering giving your business a fresh start or a grand expansion? Fairview, Texas is calling. With unbeatable resources, a supportive community, and endless opportunities, we're here to help you succeed. Dive into possibilities today at www.fairviewtexasedc.com, where your business dreams have a place to grow and flourish. From all of us here at Getting Neighborly Podcast and the Fairview Economic Development Corporation, thank you for your incredible support. Here's to more connections, more stories, and more success together. Until next time, stay inspired, stay driven, and above all, stay neighborly.